Hi, it's me Jacqueline. Welcome to my channel. If you're new to the channel, then please subscribe my channel and visit my Patreon page, link in the description.
In the 1950s, when it became clear that a number of top defense scientists and engineers were transgender, we needed to operate across multiple agencies. We were severed from the FBI and became an independent branch of the Justice Department. Now we work with the NSA, CIA, and Secret Service. Lisa's jaw dropped. The Secret Service? Are you saying? Let's just say several presidents have had ties to our community, Mary said with a knowing smile. There's a strong correlation between creativity and crossdressing. We're not sure why, but it's undeniable. Mary paused, her eyes twinkling. So, Lisa, how do you feel about joining our little sisterhood? There was no hesitation. This feels like a dream come true. Count me in. Mary smiled broadly and extended her hand. Welcome home, sis. We're glad to have you. Later that night, Annette was on dispatch when a call came in. George Daniels, a highly skilled software engineer with vital knowledge of encryption algorithms, had gone out en femme without an escort. Worse, he'd been spotted. Annette relayed the message to Mary, who was covering the night watch. Mary scanned the dispatch and let out a quiet sigh. Looks like it's time for a field trip. She dialed quickly. Lisa, it's Mary. We've got a situation. Meet me at the garage in 10 minutes. Lisa, now polished in her role, was ready in no time. Her makeup and nails were flawless, her suit impeccably tailored. As she buttoned her raincoat and stepped into the garage, Mary briefed her on the situation. The drive to the suburbs took 45 minutes. They arrived at the Wagner residence and rang the doorbell. Jeff Wagner opened the door, his face instantly tense. Mary flashed her badge. Mr. Wagner, I'm Special Agent Mary Risberg, and this is my partner, Lisa Darling. We're with the Justice Department. May we come in? Wagner, despite his usual bluster, was visibly nervous. The sight of two no-nonsense agents dressed in black was enough to unnerve him. He opened the door and gestured for them to enter. Am I in trouble? He asked, his voice uncertain. No, Mr. Wagner, Mary replied calmly. But we understand you witnessed something unusual at the Daniels home tonight. Wagner, feeling flattered at being involved in something important, responded eagerly. Yeah, I saw something strange with George, but how did you know? We've had George under observation for some time due to his work on sensitive matters, Lisa said smoothly. Unfortunately, he's been engaging in some questionable behavior. You mean the drag? Yeah, I saw him all dolled up, Wagner sneered. I never pegged him for, well, you know. Mary's expression didn't waver. When did you observe this behavior? About an hour ago. I was walking my dog and saw him get out of the car all dressed up. Scared him so bad he ran for the door. Jesus, I nearly died laughing. Wagner paused, suddenly unsure. Excuse my language, ladies. I've heard worse, Mary said, her voice cold. Did anyone else witness this? No, it was just me and my dog. Nobody else. Have you told anyone? Lisa inquired. Not yet, Wagner admitted. But tomorrow I'm telling everyone at the ale house. Lisa and Mary exchanged a glance. It was clear Wagner couldn't be trusted to stay quiet. Thank you, Mr. Wagner, Mary said as Lisa discreetly reached into her bag and pulled out a small spray bottle labeled Oblivion. In seconds, Wagner felt a mist on the back of his neck. The room spun briefly before everything grew hazy. He felt light, his mind drifting. Lisa counted silently as the drug took effect. Mr. Wagner, she began in a soothing tone, it's easy to mistake someone in the dark. Wagner nodded, his mind pliable. When you thought you saw George, it was actually his wife, Evelyn. Of course, Wagner thought. It was Evelyn. Who else could it have been? After all, it was dark, and the distance and shadows made things look different. Colors even change in the dim light. That made perfect sense to Jeff Wagner. How silly he had been. Now, Mr. Wagner, Lisa continued, this whole matter is so unimportant that you'll just forget about it entirely. Yes, forget it. No big deal. Nothing to worry about. Why don't you sit down and relax? Watch some TV. You'll feel much better soon. Sure, a little TV would be nice. No point dwelling on things. We'll be leaving now, Mr. Wagner. You won't remember seeing us or what you thought you saw earlier. Everything is just fine. Wagner settled into his recliner, completely absorbed by the TV, unaware as the two agents quietly left his house. Their final stop was George's. He answered the door, looking frantic. Mary, thank God you're here. Wagner saw me, and I. Mary raised a hand to calm. A tear formed in George's eye, but he quickly wiped it away and smiled. All right, Mary, I promise. I won't go out alone again. Thanks, George. That'll save us a lot of cleanup work. She opened her arms and hugged him warmly. By the way, George, Lisa chimed in. How are Lynn and Katie doing? George's face brightened. They're both in New York right now for Katie's senior trip. She's graduating this spring and starting at Penn in the fall. So, she got accepted? That's fantastic. Lisa exclaimed. Yes, my little girl's growing up. Her next big challenge is choosing a prom dress. I'm sure it'll be stunning, Lisa smiled. And what about young George? Heard from him lately? Last I heard, he was buried in midterms at MIT. He's really got a knack for physics. Mary raised an eyebrow with a slight smile. Physics might not be the only thing he's gifted at. We've been monitoring him discreetly, and it looks like he's created a Yahoo email account under the name Carol Ellen. He's been joining Susan's chat room regularly. We think he might be exploring his gender identity, much like you did. George was taken aback. Wow! I had no idea. Has he ever met Jeanette? Mary asked gently. No, Evelyn and I decided not to tell the kids. We didn't want to overwhelm them. But now, maybe it's time. It's okay, George, Mary said reassuringly. We can support him. Let him know he's not alone, that there's nothing to be ashamed of. Lisa, do you think you could be his mentor, his big sister in a way? Lisa smiled warmly. Absolutely. We could go shopping together at some tea-friendly stores I know. Maybe get him a makeover. And, George, the two of you could have a girls' night out. George pondered for a moment, a soft smile forming. Maybe. It's about time he met Jeanette. And I could get to know Carol. It's funny. I think we might have been chatting last week at the Pink Room, and I had no idea. Lisa and Mary exchanged knowing looks. Let's arrange something after midterms, maybe during Thanksgiving break. You two can have that night out. Sounds like a plan, George nodded. Thanks for everything, Mary, Lisa. I don't know what I'd do without you. Mary smiled and patted his arm. You're never alone, George. With that, Mary and Lisa stepped into the black car and drove off, leaving George standing at his door, feeling both grateful and hopeful for the future. Epilogue. Jeff Wagner was making the neighborhood rounds with his dog Homer when he spotted the Daniels car pulling into the driveway. He watched as George and his son emerged. Hey, George. How you doing? Both George turned. Hi, Jeff, called George Sr. I'm just fine. Young George is home for Thanksgiving break. Good to see you, Georgie boy. Jeff called. Young George cringed a little at hearing the hated nickname. How's it going up at MIT? Just great, Mr. Wagner. I'm really excited about the advanced physics program. It's hard, but I'm really getting a lot out of it. Good for you, boy. Hey, how would you two like to come over to my place to watch the game? I'm having a lot of the guys over. Got lots of beer and snacks. George exchanged a smile with his son and said, Thanks, Jeff. It's really nice of you, but we already have plans. We're going to be spending a little quality time together. Sure, George. I understand. You don't get much time with Junior these days. What you got in mind? Some hunting maybe? No, we just thought we would spend a day in the city. Maybe take in a show. Okay, guys, but if you change your mind, give me a call. Thanks, Jeff. And have a good holiday. Say hi to Joni and the kids. Will do, George. So long. Jeff walked away, shaking his head. Looks like George Jr. is going to be another boring geek like his old man. Jesus, don't those people ever do anything halfway exciting? George Jr. watched Wagner walk down the street. That guy didn't have a clue. That's when his father asked him, in a low voice, Well, should I give Mary a call, Carol? Young George smiled, thinking about the special secret he now shared with his father. Sure thing, Jeanette. I'm dying to go shopping. Smiling, they entered their home.
Please subscribe for the next part and visit my Patreon page for early access.